J-Zone, also known as Chief Chinchilla, the Onion Ring Pimp, Peter's Worst Nightmare, the Fergler, Captain Backslap, a whole bunch of shit. Now I'm the Donald Goines of rap. First book, Root for the Villain, Rap, Bullshit, and a Celebration of Failure. #1 bestseller in Norwegian beef patty shops. So if there's a Golden Crust, you know, in Scandinavia somewhere, chances are that they're selling my book. As you can see the squeegee man on the cover. I'm a squeegee man in a photo with a shirt and tie. That kind of speaks to the climate of where we are. You know, over-certified, underqualified world we're in. And a shout to all fellow native New Yorkers who remember the squeegee men. You know, boombox on the back because you know I love cassettes. You know, had a high top fade for like a month, so I wore it out. Old middle school I used to play ball in, I'm chilling in the parking lot. You know, so having fun. The quotes from Danger Mouse, Chairman Mao, Prince Paul, Dante Ross, Philip Minard from The Village Voice, and of course Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island guys from Saturday Night Live. So, you know, if they can't influence you to buy it and I can't influence you to buy it, you should buy it just because, for the fuck of it. Well, I was always a writer. Even when I was active in the music career, I had a monthly column in Hip Hop Connection magazine in the UK called Ignorant, where I would profile like really off-the-wall ignorant gangster rap albums and stuff. It was kind of like a funny column. You know, I wrote for Hip Hop DX. I had stuff published in like, you know, a couple of textbooks, the Common Culture textbook. I wrote some stuff for The Source. I wrote for Slam Magazine. I'm a high school sports reporter in New York City. I cover basketball, and I've been doing that for, you know, going on 10 years. So really, I've always been a writer, even when I was doing the music. But, you know, as I kind of ran into a brick wall with the music where I lost a little bit of the passion, and it just wasn't coming as easily as it normally had. So, you know, you start to lean on your other passion, which is writing, and then I kind of started doing like weekly, you know, blogs on like Dante Ross's website. And I kind of got known for like my blogs, you know, but the thing is, every time I did a blog, it was like 2,000–3,000 words. It was like a full article. And in the world of blogs, if you don't update every single day, people have no attention span. So you got other blogs that are successful where they'll post like a YouTube clip and then like one sentence about it and it'll get 5 billion hits or something like that, where I was trying to post like full articles, and to do that and keep up with the blogging world from the hip-hop side is impossible. So I was like, instead of trying to keep up with blogging and doing full articles, why don't I just put it into a book, you know, like funnel it into like a full-length I guess it's kind of like releasing a song every week, you know, and putting it on iTunes, or sitting down to make a full album. So it's the same mentality. Like, I come from that era where we had De La Soul, Public Enemy, and Ice Cube putting out these albums that were like movies, where they would take ideas and put them together. And it was the same thing with the book, like taking 26 different essays and stringing them into something, you know, that's cohesive. And that's the challenge. Rather than trying to blog to keep up with blogging, I decided to focus more on doing it like a full-length project, you know, and stringing it together. So, you know, I wrote the material for about 2 years, and then a year was like a year of intense, you know, focus of like putting together a book, knowing that I was going to do a book and trying to fit it to how I wanted it to go. A third of it is just memoirs from the music business. It's kind of like my story coming up in the music business, being in it, the shit I loved, the shit I hated, working in studios in the 90s, like how hip-hop was different then, you know, coming up in New York in the 80s and 90s, then getting into the music. Like, you love music so much, and it's this hobby, and it's this thing you're in awe of as a kid, and you get into it, and you pay your dues, you learn your craft, you come up the hard way, the slow way, you press your own vinyl, then you're finally in the music business, and then you realize the business side kind of fucked me up, where it was like, it wasn't all cracked up what it was cracked up to be. So, you know, you deal with the other side, you know, doing shows and 2 people show up. You know, making, you know, my last album sold like 46 copies in its first month for sale on iTunes. You know, like, you know, getting fronted on by people in the music business. You know, you show up, you have a meeting, you show up, they're not there. You know, so like some of the annoyances and some of the things in the music business that most music books don't talk about, because everybody usually tries to talk about their career, about how great they were. You know, I sold millions of records and we packed Madison Square Garden. I'm like, shit, I was in a fucking bar and there was 3 people there. And they were like, yo, get the fuck off the stage. I did a tour on a Greyhound bus, and the dude next to me is pulling out a knife like, yeah, I'm with the Bloods, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like Bloods and Crips on the bus and shit. So it's like the unglamorous side of the music business, but I'm able to look back on it and have a sense of humor and be funny, you know, funny with the shit. I'm able to laugh at doing tours on Greyhound buses, and the bus pulls off with all your shit, and you're like, you fall on the ground chasing the bus, and you're peeing on yourself and shit. You walk around with a big piss stain on your pants. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this is shit that happened, but like, no, you know, if you're writing a book about the music business, like, nobody's gonna write about embarrassing shit like that. But that's, you know, I want to be the anathema to books on the music business. I want to talk about the unglamorous side, and then the things that are positive that I appreciated, touring in Europe. You grow up idolizing these artists, these musicians, and then you wind up working with them. They're in your studio. You know, you buy a Master Ace album, and then, you know, 13 years later, he's in your basement recording a verse, or MF Doom is in your house, or Pete Rock comes to lay down something, you know, like that kind of shit. You know, being such a hip hop fan, and then working with those guys as a peer. You know, a lot of that stuff too. And then, you know, the rest of the book is like social commentary, you know, like the gadget hoes with the LOL, OMG shit, all that texting, chicks, you know, at a social function, everybody's doing this shit. I'm a landline, you know, I'm a payphone pimp, you know, put the quarter in, you know, you got 4 minutes to convince this broad to come outside, man, you're rapping to the chick, the parent picks up the phone, tries to throw salt in your game, like, yo, you got 2 minutes, you got to close the deal, you got to be swift. But nowadays you see grown men 35 years old LOL in the broad all day, 15 minutes of this shit, you know, 20 minutes, an hour of this shit, like, oh, you know, I want to see you, LOL, OMG, like, you know, people my age sending me emails in all capital letters. It's a fucked up world, you know. Facebook, New York has changed a lot, trying to socialize in New York, which is a very segregated city, but people make it seem like it's some kind of a bubble, and I think that's false. So, you know, just socializing as things are gentrifying and changing, relationships, dating, you know, fashion. I wonder if men are the new women sometimes. I mean, you know, I guess the fashion, you know, it looks like somebody was driving a Mr. Softy truck and hit Prince in the street, and there was glitter and sprinkles and shit everywhere, and the men just picked it up and put it on their clothes, and I feel like a Boy George video shoot gone wrong sometimes. So all these, you know, little social commentary, and then of course record collecting, cassette collecting, living with my grandmother, just like a funny look at, you know, take serious issues and makes fun of them, you know, like a funny look at that stuff. So it's really all over the place. I want people to remember me as somebody who just didn't give a fuck, like in terms of just doing whatever I felt. Like there's nothing like everything I do is like, I just do exactly what I vision. Like musically, like, could I have made more money if I had done different things? Probably, but it doesn't just mean wearing a shiny suit and making pop records. I mean, even in the underground rap scene, I didn't fit in. So when I went in the studio, I didn't give a damn. Like, I just made what I wanted to make. And I knew that, you know, it was frustrating sometimes having no place to fit in. It's like, well, you know, he makes these artsy, quirky beats, but he's talking about bitch this and ho that. It's like, well, he's not thug rap, he's not southern rap, he's not backpacker rap, he's not this, he's not that. I mean, it's like, I've always been the kind of person who just never followed any rules. I've always been a rule breaker, whether it's writing or music, and I always want to be remembered as the guy who just like represented for the, you know, somebody who represented for people who don't fit in anywhere. I always want to be remembered as the guy, the rogue, the black sheep of everything. Like, no matter what he did, he just didn't fit in. He was, you know, he had a different drummer he was marching to, and he just didn't give a fuck. You go through a lot of frustration when you take that approach. But, you know, sometimes it's worth it at the end to say, you know, you've been in the business 15 years and never sucked dick. So a lot of pride in that. And always did everything myself, you know, without a lot of help. Did a lot of stuff on my own. So being that it's self-published, it's not in Barnes & Noble. You're probably more likely to find my book at a prison library than a Barnes & Noble at this point. But it's available on Amazon.com. As a Kindle and as a regular paperback book. It's available on CreateSpace.com because that's who I published it through. And it's available directly from me through my site, GoVillainGo.com. That's GoVillainGo.com. I personalize them for you, whatever you want. Worst come to worst, if you don't like the book, it's a perfect table leg balancer. Like, you know, sometimes how you have a table and it's a little uneven, you could stick this under one of the legs and it'll keep your shit solid. If you have a cup of coffee, you don't want to stain your table, you can sit on top. There's already a coffee stain on the book, so, you know, you can put one of your little lattes or whatever the fuck you drink on top of the book. If you're a hip-hop person, grew up in the 80s and 90s, a native New Yorker, a curmudgeon with a sense of humor, you'll definitely like it. So, you know, go pick it up. Edumacate yourself, man. Stop LOLing on Twitter, man. That shit ain't cute. Read a book.